Hi everybody, this is Matt Heise, the owner of the College Funding Connection, and today we're going to be doing a cost review for Boston College. So you may have come across us on your search engine looking on the internet. We do have some other cost reviews for other colleges or universities you might want to check out as well. But our contact information is right below. You can get some more information there if you're interested. You can also see us on our YouTube channel, but the website is collegefc.com. And our phone number is 866-305-2321. We're headquartered in Brunswick, Ohio, but we actually work on a national level with families all over the country. So Boston College, before we get into some of the more specific information about tuition costs and ancillary costs for the school, just wanted to do a quick review. You may have seen this before. Some of it may be new to you, but really the foundation for effective planning when you start getting into this with the student in your home is understanding certainly what it takes to find and select the right college, a good fit for your student. But on the financial side, it begins with the EFC, or your expected family contribution. And that's just another way of saying that's the portion of your income and assets that you'll be expected to contribute towards the cost of college. So that is a uniform number that comes right off the FAFSA application that you'll have to complete for financial aid. That goes through the Department of Education. Then the colleges get the results, and the results are called the EFC, and that's the portion that your family is supposed to come up with. So the EFC is determined in a few different ways. I mentioned the FAFSA already. That's the public formula or calculation that's used. There's a couple private ones that are used too, CSS Profile, and then a newer one called the Consensus. And that's basically, these are two different programs that a lot of private colleges choose to use. Most public schools do not use them, though. There's a couple exceptions, but for the most part, the public schools just stick to the FAFSA. But what they're really looking at is that base year, which is the tax year preceding the year that you're applying for financial aid. So if you're a senior in high school, they're going to be looking at the tax year that you're in right now for 2012, even though you're applying for financial aid in 2013. So it's always a look back 1 year called the base year. So the number that we're going to end up with then is what's called the financial need. And that's what the colleges will determine. And it's calculated by taking the retail price of the college or cost of attendance. That includes tuition, room, board, books, ancillary expenses, those types of things. Subtract out your EFC, and then you're left with this number, financial need, which is basically how much aid you're eligible for. So we're going to plug this into one of our calculators and see how it looks for Boston College. So let's take a look at the numbers. Now today we're going to be using a calculator that we use called Smart Search. And just so you know, because I've had people that watch the video and then they're on Google trying to find the Smart Search calculator. It's not available to the public. This is a paid program that we use, and it's available to licensed professionals only. So just to make you aware of that. But this is something we make available to our clients or people that are interested in looking at the numbers. Just give us a call. We'll set up an appointment and we can run some calculations for your family to see some more specific numbers for you. And I'll talk about that here in just a little bit. So today we're going to be just looking at a sample case. We're going to call them the sample family to keep it easy. And the calculator is going to plug in everything that's relevant as it pertains to college selection and then certainly the college financial aid estimate. So we're going to call the sample child Joey. So it's Joey samples numbers that we're looking at here. And we're going to start with academics because we know that not all schools are available to all kids. Let's face it, some kids have great grades and some kids don't, or some are in between. So we want to make sure we're looking at relevant school choices for students. So we're going to take a look at Boston College and see how it looks for Joey specifically. But we do have to plug in some academic information. So we see his ACT score here is a 29, grade point average 4.0. And these are things that we would do with your student also, just to see how it kind of fits in with this particular school. We then have to list all the family information. Now this is the piece that is oftentimes confusing for parents especially. You know, if my kid's applying for financial aid, then why do I got to put my personal information on there? And the reality is this is a federal process largely through the Department of Education, just like the IRS is a federal process. So you have to fill out these applications and you have to do it accurately and be honest with the information. But they are going to collect information of mom and dad as well as siblings. And believe it or not, some private schools, If you have a sibling, they're going to look at some of that information as well, especially if you have money saved in particular places. But even for FAFSA, if you have more than one dependent, and especially if you have more than one child in school simultaneously, that can make a big difference and a big advantage for you as parents, especially for financial aid. So we want to make sure we're completing all of this information, which we see here. The next section deals with parents' finances. Just get used to the idea that your kids are tied to you financially during those undergraduate college years. It's hardwired right into the FAFSA. It's hardwired into the profiles, and there are very few exceptions where they'll let students apply for financial aid without listing their parents' financial information. So just want to make you aware of that. So here we're going to put in all that information I already have, just kind of pre-filled it to save some time. So mom and dad, joint income's about $100,000. Let's say mom works full-time, dad works part-time, or whatever the case might be. And Mrs. Sample's dad passed away. So Grandpa Sample passed away just a couple of years ago, left his daughter about $200,000. She didn't know what to do with it. She knew she had money, needed some money for college and other things. So pretty typical. It's just sitting in a money market or savings account right now until they figure out what they're going to do. Plus, maybe the market is volatile. They don't want to invest it. All kinds of reasons. They have paid down their house. There's about $50,000 in home equity. And sometimes we'll plug in some other numbers, especially if people are funding 401k plans or IRA accounts. That can count and make a difference. If you're unemployed, we would want to list that. If you're paying child support. So these are all things not relevant for the samples, but maybe for you and can make a difference for financial aid. So now we're going to go over to Joey's information. And real simple, they're going to look at the student's income and any assets that they own, and pretty much any asset that they own. So in this case, Grandpa left Joey $20,000 when he passed away. So Joey has his money sitting in a savings account just like his mom. Probably going to use it for college, so they're just keeping it safe there. And then mom and dad started a 529 plan several years ago, and they have about $20,000 there. We then look at affordability. So this is relevant. Now today we know we're going to be looking at Boston College, but sometimes we don't. So if we just want to pull up a list of relevant colleges, we can plug in all of those search criteria, and it'll pull up only schools that meet that criteria. So it's a big time saver for families that want to find colleges that are specifically going to provide a certain amount of financial aid, or at least a pretty good estimate. So we can do that for the families we work with. We can even pick schools by state, the student's likelihood of getting accepted to a particular school based on academics. So all those things can be plugged in here to the criteria. But as I mentioned today, we're just going to be looking at Boston College. So we've already selected it here. You'll see that college right here. But we can pick any school. I'm in Ohio, so it automatically pulls up all the Ohio colleges and universities. But you can see pretty much any school in the country we can look at. So we're going to save this and look at the report. And this is the result. So we're not going to get into the bottom section here, but we actually can look specifically at the types of financial aid that would be provided. But I want to focus in on this middle line here for Boston College. We can see, even though Joey's a great student, it's still going to be very difficult for him to get in simply because it's a very competitive college. They use FAFSA like all schools do, but they also use this consensus method for determining financial aid eligibility that I mentioned before. There's a small number of private universities. Generally speaking, it's the larger, more elite private schools that are using this, but Boston College is one of those. The cost of attendance is pretty high. So if you're just paying a retail price out of pocket, it's about $59,000 when you add everything up. The sample family's EFC is about $26,000. So that's the starting number for the colleges. The EFC is saying, okay, you can afford to pay this much per year based on your income and assets. The need then is how much aid they're eligible for. And remember, we're just taking the cost of attendance, subtracting out the EFC, and this is what the schools will be looking at as a financial aid eligibility number. Boston College is great. We can see that they meet 100% on average. So that's not for all colleges, but Boston College is one of the better ones. The financial aid estimate then is about $35,260, but it shows here that mom and dad and Joey still have to come up with about $24,000 per year. Keep in mind these are annual numbers. Now I think this is high. I know we can do better, and I'm going to show you how. We're going to work a little financial magic here, and I'm going to go right back here to something I saw when I was talking with Mr. and Mrs. Sample. as you remember, she shared with me that her dad passed away a couple of years ago, left her a bunch of money. She has some real estate maybe and some other things, but he had about $200,000 in a retirement account, which is now, they cashed in some of this money. It's sitting in a money market account, doing nothing at the moment. Now, I understand their concerns. They want to keep it liquid and they want to keep it secure. The problem is the colleges don't understand that. They see it as liquid money, usable for college, even though that's meant for college. We don't want the colleges to know that, because if they think that that's usable for college, it is going to will reduce this family's financial aid package by a significant amount, and I'll show you in a minute. So we're going to reduce this by a zero, change it from $200 to $20,000. Now, we're not going to go and spend it. Obviously, that would be a really bad idea. But we are going to show you that by sheltering it and repositioning the asset, you can put yourselves in a much better situation for financial aid. Now, you may not have $200,000. Maybe you have 50 or 75 or some other number. But whatever is there that the colleges are counting can make a big difference for you as a family overall for financial aid. So we're changing that. And I'm going to go in here to Joey's account. I'm not going to worry about the 529 plan because sometimes that's not looked at as much. But I am going to look at this $20,000 that Grandpa left Joey. And we're going to change this from 20 to a 0. If there's anything that's going to count very heavily against your student for financial aid, it's money that's in their name. Now, Grandpa had the best of intentions leaving this to Joey, but again, the colleges don't care. They're going to see it as a usable asset. Now, yes, it is earmarked for college, but we don't necessarily want the schools to know that when we're applying for financial aid. So again, we're going to work some magic here and change this to a zero. We're not spending the money, we're just going to reposition it. And these are the kinds of things we can show or talk about with families as we get into the planning process. So we're going to save that. We're going to go back here to the colleges really quick, run a new report for Boston, and let's take a look at the numbers. We're going to go right through here. Everything is the same. We see that the EFC dropped by about $10,000. So that changes the need. And then also, if we go to the net cost here, if you remember before, Mom and Dad and Joey had to come up with $24,000 per year based on the previous numbers. Now, because we repositioned and hid certain assets legally to not have to report them on financial aid applications, we reduced this family's out-of-pocket check writing expense by about $10,000 per year, from 24 to 14. So 10,000, I think we can do the simple math over 4 years. This family, by doing smart planning, just saved themselves $40,000 in liquid cash. So pretty amazing, very doable. Now again, you may not have 200,000, maybe you have 50 or 75 or maybe 25, but these are some factors that can make a big difference in how much aid you're eligible for. So I'm going to wrap up here and jump back to the PowerPoint presentation, and we'll finish up. Okay, so what are the next steps? Well, if you've seen any of our previous videos, you'll know that we always provide a free 1-hour, no obligation consultation for anybody that comes through our education program. And that could be our YouTube videos. We have a workshop that plays on 3 or 4 times a month. We do some live events in different parts of the country. So wherever it is, we just want to make sure people have seen something like this so they have some vocabulary about financial aid before we sit down at the meeting table or talk with you over the phone. And then if we do that, we do it for free, because otherwise we're spending a lot of time educating people, and that costs you time and it costs us time and money as well. So we do offer that for anybody that comes through the education series that we have. If you are interested in meeting with us and basically looking at your family's version of what we just looked at, we will do that for you for free. We're not going to run 50 colleges, but we'll take a look at one for you and see what the numbers might look like. And then we can let you know if there's anything we can do beyond that. I would tell you at least half the time there isn't. You know, in some cases we just can't really make a big difference for families, and we don't want to lie or be misleading about that, but we don't want to leave people hanging there with questions in their mind that aren't answered. So we want to help you still. So if you are interested in doing that, all you have to do is call us at our 800 number, which is right here, 866-305-2321, or just click on the link here, and it's right below the video screen in the description section of the video. If you look there, you'll see a link to this page. Click on it, fill in your information, and we'll call you or email you, and we'll set up a time to meet. The only thing we ask is that if you set up an appointment, please keep it, because we have a lot of people we're meeting with, We just want to make sure we're being fair to everybody. Or if you need to reschedule, we can do that too. But it's collegefc.com/contact us. There's our number for you as well. When you sign in, and you don't have to get this, but most people do like it, we do get you on our list for our free monthly newsletter. We just send it out by email. You certainly can opt out of it or unsubscribe if you want to, but it's a nice, useful piece for families and students especially. And then we also have this free resource. You'll have the option to download it. It's called the Student Roadmap to Success. And that's available to families, and a great resource for if you have college-bound high school students. Kind of gives them a step-by-step process of what they should be doing during the high school years to prepare for college. So again, that's available to you, the Student Roadmap to Success. So thanks for watching this video today on Boston College. We appreciate your interest. And if there's anything we can do to help, again, just click on the link right below. Be happy to set up a time to talk with you on the phone or meet with you in person and answer any questions that you have. Thanks a lot, and good luck with your college plans.